New York Times wrote a thing called the Biden Doctrine about actually getting us out of Afghanistan and what his, Biden's process is for deciding whether or not we should stay in. And they think it's a propaganda piece. They think this is deep state.
Welcome back. The New York Times taking some heat for praising President Biden's foreign policy despite what is happening in Afghanistan.
The Times.
Where are they taking heat from? Oh, from Fox News. That's new. Let me guess. Trump called them fake news and got mad.
Analysis states, quote, in the chaotic finale of America's 20-year war in Afghanistan, a Biden doctrine is emerging, a foreign policy that avoids the aggressive tactics of forever wars and nation building while uniting allies against the authoritarianism of rising powers.
Yeah, which is why Fox has a problem with that, because it is their entire network's job to prop up authoritarian powers. So I can understand why they would be a little irritated.
React, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, great to see you as always. Look, our allies, many Democrats, a lot of mainstream media have even been very critical of the Biden administration's actions in Afghanistan. Why?
Yeah, but largely based on the idea that there was another there, or there was a version of this reality that didn't involve a kind of messy withdrawal, a fantasy, which is part of what kept us in Afghanistan for another decade. Nobody wanted to get out because getting out would look like shit, and nobody wanted to look like shit.
The New York Times decided to break from the pack and essentially print a White House press release.
Yeah, Todd, the key line in there is, while uniting allies against authoritarian powers. You think the byline, the person who wrote the story, would show that Jen Psaki wrote this in terms of propaganda and not Peter Baker.
That's adorable. By the way, Fox News is calling people who describe what they believe is the doctrine of the Biden administration and their idea about how they're handling them, what they've expressed, what their priorities are. They're interpreting. They want to be the first ones to define what the Biden doctrine is. And they're calling them, the New York Times, a rubber stamp for the White House. Meanwhile, on Fox News, with zero irony, which is basically where Trump comes to fart and the rest of them sit as close to his ass as possible to try and take notes.
Of straight reporting. And look, our biggest partner in Afghanistan, right, the Brits, they certainly were not happy with the way the Biden-Harris administration...
The way we actually left? Oh, you mean Boris Johnson?
Handled this. Their parliament literally held President Biden in contempt. The incoming German chancellor said it was the worst policy decision in terms of foreign policy decision ever witnessed.
Ever? You mean getting out of Afghanistan? Hey, you can stay. I mean, we had 2,500 soldiers and about 800 contractors and embassy staff. We had another 3,000 or so of them in country. I mean, the UK could replace those people. Germany could do it all by themselves. Germany, you absolutely have the material support and the personnel to go in there and run all these bases, support the government, keep an embassy open, knock yourself the fuck out. What's the difference between 2,500 Americans and 2,500 Brits? Or 2,500 Germans? Get your ass in there. I don't see, there was no one, Boris Johnson or the incoming new chancellor of Germany suggesting that they would take over on our behalf as we were leaving.
For Peter Baker, who actually wrote this piece, and the Times to attempt to frame this exactly the way the White House would want, by outright lying, and I'll say the word, lying, under the guise of straight news reporting, is as shameful as it is shameful.
How are they lying? They didn't say everybody would like it, but that's the goal. How are they lying?
Joe, there's been certainly a lot of criticism about how this withdrawal was taking place.
Or that it happened at all, because that seems to be the issue, don't you think?
And what ended up happening the last few weeks, rightfully so. But do you think...
Oh, you mean what happened in the last few weeks? Oh, we got out of Afghanistan.
He's going to look back on this and say that this was the right move? Or do you think...
I'd say the Japanese deciding to attack the U.S. Navy in 1941 is a bigger foreign policy disaster. I agree. I mean, obviously, having a war in winter in Russia on Germany's part, kind of a political blunder in terms of war.
History is going to still be critical of how this was put into play.
Nope. I mean, you want it to be, but it's not going to be. Sorry. In a couple of years, nobody's going to give a fuck. They're going to go, at least we're not in Afghanistan anymore. No one's going to care. No one. They have already, even the right wing, even the most right wing, as much as they would love to Benghazi this bullshit, they have added the deaths of our soldiers who were helping the evacuation right in with the number of people killed in Afghanistan, shoring the place up. Americans, both contractors and military service personnel who've been killed in Afghanistan. They're all in one bubble together. They are not bifurcating it out at all. So at no point will anybody look back and go, these people who died are different than these people who died, or better or worse than those people who died. Because that's what you have to do. If they died, you have to tell their relatives that they died. It was a waste. We shouldn't have gotten out, and they were killed for nothing. They were killed by a traitor trying to destroy the country, and that you should hate your government because they tried to end our long engagement that took 64 lives during the Trump administration, and they just didn't care about those guys. I mean, those men and women, who cares, right? Nobody's, honest to God, no one.
It's all about the execution, right? Many people agree that we should have gone out of Afghanistan at this point, that we've been there for 20 years. And that's...
You mean like Trump and everyone around him and everybody who voted for him? Yeah, they all said we should get out, but Trump kept punting it his entire presidency.
Point we had to leave. It was the execution that a lot of people
that didn't do. The execution that Trump didn't follow through on, that Trump continued to punt, and even said, and I aired this on my show. We looked at this interview that he did on Danny Balls' show, where he said May 1st, that wasn't even a solid date. That was the beginning of what would be a 2-year drawdown. Now, who believes that Trump, if he'd have won re-election, would have lost the midterms and become a lame duck for 2 years by getting us out of Afghanistan and experience this kind of thing? Or would he have waited till right after the midterms when he knew he couldn't be reelected to get us out then? Or would Republicans would have talked him into staying even further? What you'll be the kingmaker, but if you get us out now, it's going to look like shit. We'll promise to get everybody out afterwards.
An overwhelming number of Americans have a problem with if you look at poll after poll after poll. And again, 3 things needed to be done. And it's not Monday morning.
Okay, good. 3 things. What needed to be done? 3 things needed to be done, folks. What
quarterbacking, in this case, Tuesday morning quarterbacking. But Bagram Air Base should have been used for the evacuations instead of...
Because you're a fucking moron. Because here's a great idea. Let's take all the staff from the embassy, their families and everyone around them, and everybody in the city, instead of taking them a quarter mile to the airport where we have 6 gates and we can split the thing up into civilian and military flights, let's all pack everybody in vehicles, drive them an hour and 20 minutes out into the desert on a 2-lane road that can be attacked from anywhere through territory that was being held by the Taliban and ISIS. They were fighting over it, to a base with 1 entrance, and try to do an evacuation now. Like the strategic... Like, this is so dumb. I half expect the fat ass, the dude who's going blind on Steve Bannon's show, to have come up with it. You're a moron. Anybody who said we should have evacuated out of Bagram is a fucking idiot. You have thousands of people in vehicles down a 2-lane highway in the middle of the desert in Afghanistan through territory that the Taliban was fighting with ISIS over. Are you fucking delusional?
That's obvious. No,
it isn't. It's obvious that you strategically are a moron. I don't know. Look, they keep pushing this. Christ almighty, this is dumb. Hey, the house is on fire. We should go out the door that's right there. No. We need to climb up on the roof as the fire rises and jump off the roof. We'll make it that way, because the fire's all around us on this floor. I know the door's right there. But if we go up 3 flights of stairs, a helicopter can pick us up. Jesus Christ.
Done during the winter.
Bo the Fifth said the same thing. Is that Bo of the Fifth Column? I know of him. I don't watch the stuff, but he seems like a decent fellow, yeah? But, I mean, it's so obvious. I've shown everybody the map. Like, I've shown everybody, it's a quarter of a mile from the U.S. Embassy and the buildings around it where everybody lived to the goddamn airport.
The Taliban is back at their bases in Pakistan, obviously, and get all Americans out before you start pulling military.
Sorry, what? The Taliban is back where? So fly everybody out of Bagram all they have to do is blow up one road and stop the entire evacuation. Because as bad as the explosion as the airport was, imagine if they'd have done that on the only road to Bagram. The rest of it's just desert, full of mines and IEDs and all kinds of bullshit. We'll just have the trucks drive around. Boom, there's another one. Are you fucking dumb? But what was he saying? Hold on.
Air base should have been used for the evacuations instead of Kabul. That's obvious.
No, that's moronic.
The evacuation should have been done during the winter when the Taliban is back at their bases in Pakistan.
Oh, you mean when ISIS had a bigger control over the north? Obviously. Is that why Trump set the date in May? Oh, right. But you'd need to have time to get the SIV folks out. Oh, that's right. You and the other assholes on this show don't give a rat fuck about the SIVs.
And get all Americans out before you start pulling military out. Just three very...
The last person out was military. We sent in 6,000 extra troops to organize the exit. They were. We pulled back everybody who was at the bases we were no longer using. Why would you leave soldiers in bases that were basically they would have to engage in a firefight with feuding groups to hold on to instead of just getting them the fuck out of there?
Basic things that a military analyst, and I'm certain
how you would like Bo the Fifth Column. I will check his stuff out, Bonnie.
One needed to be done, but instead what happened here is what we're seeing: Americans left behind, and obviously those 13 service members of the U.S. military died in the process.
Yeah, because nobody would have been blown up or killed on a 2-lane highway through the fucking desert in the middle of an evacuation of 124,000 people. How stupid are these people? Seriously, is no one there going, no one at Fox News can go, ahem, even for the illusion of fair and balanced, somebody go, well, you do realize you're wanting to evacuate 124,000 people instead of a quarter mile down a few blocks to the airport. You wanted to take them on a 2-lane road out in the middle of the fucking desert for days on end. Through an area, by the way, that you're saying the Taliban wouldn't control, so ISIS would actually be ascendant in those areas because they're mortal enemies of the Taliban. They would be fighting each other instead of us.
At Kabul International Airport. So that's the problem that people have, and people will look back on this.
No. That's not a problem that people have. That's a problem that stupid people have. People who don't give a rat's ass about actual human lives in this circumstance, who are just trying to score political points and will follow Trump's asshole everywhere that it floats in front of them like a magic eye of Sauron.
As a stain on the Biden presidency, and perhaps even as
Nope.
Point in the Biden presidency in terms of
you wish, fuck you, never happened.
Is he competent enough to do the job? And that's why.
Yes, because I guarantee that as befuddled and confused and old and doddering and demented as Biden is, he would never be fucking stupid enough to suggest that in an advancing war zone, you take 124,000 people down a 2-lane highway in the desert towards a base with one fucking door. Holy shit. I mean, I'm still amazed every time one of these idiots floats this nonsense. Because there's only one way that ends up. More dead civilians, more dead military. Lots of them. Lots of dead civilians. Lots of dead Americans. Lots of dead military. It's a bottleneck. The one thing about having multiple gates at the Kabul airport was that when the bomb went off, they still had other ways they could bring people in. As a matter of fact, as I showed a couple of days ago, they actually had a secret entrance to the airport that Taliban were helping Americans get to around the areas where ISIS had attacked. And they left. It worked. Our people got out. I'm amazed at the idiocy here. Why does Fox think that anyone would take them strategically seriously in any of this? Because I have not heard a single person on Fox News anywhere suggest anything but we should have left through Bagram, which is the dumbest fucking idea.
Poll numbers have fallen as precipitously as they have, Jillian.
Let's switch gears here. Rachel Maddow and other members of the liberal media slam for taking the bait on a false story about ivermectin doses. Here is the original.
Media outlets report on false ivermectin story. Okay, so he's this. Let's hope that his medical knowledge is as high quality as his strategic defense policy advice.
Headline: Patients overdosing on ivermectin backing up rural Oklahoma hospitals and ambulances. This article was then debunked. And nevertheless, we have these articles.
Dr. Michalea said patients are packing his eastern and southwestern Oklahoma for taking ivermectin dose made for a full-size horse. September 1st. Okay.
From the liberal media echo chamber, starting, of course, with Rolling Stone. That's the one making the most headlines. But let's not forget about the New York Daily News. The doctor says Oklahoma having influx of patients overdosing on ivermectin. Oklahoma ERs. Okay, backing up people overdosing on ivermectin. Gunshot victims have to wait to be treated. Business Insider, all echoing the same things, but not to be.
I don't know this story. And I don't know that they were baited into something. We do know that people are being, that they're missing, they don't have hospital beds for people who've been wounded or have other medical issues because of COVID. This looks like the beginning of a conflation of two things that turned into a singular concept.
Done. Here is Rachel Maddow tweeting out the article in question.
Patients overdosing on ivermectin backing up a rural local hospital. The scariest one I've heard is seeing people coming in with vision loss, he said. Okay.
I'm guessing there won't be any consequences for this rush to judgment and this rush to publish. Will there be?
Yeah, well, why hasn't, Todd, Rachel Maddow taken down her tweet? Many are asking this because she reaches millions.
Are they? Many of them are asking this? Are people asking? Okay, hold on one second. Let's do a little follow-up. When was this? This is September 7th. This is relatively ivermectin. Oklahoma. Fact checking the mystery. Okay. This is CNN. Okay, here you go. This is fact checking the misinformation about Oklahoma hospitals and ivermectin. A story went viral last week about Oklahoma hospitals and ivermectin, antiparasitic drug some Americans are taking to treat COVID-19. It was a poor piece of journalism, inadequate in its reporting, inaccurate in its depiction of what's happening in Oklahoma. A story which was first published by a local news outlet basically suggested that overdoses among people taking ivermectin to fight COVID-19 were a primary factor in filling up hospitals in the state. There's no evidence of this, and the story didn't even demonstrate that its one and only named source had claimed it was true. But the flawed story was widely shared anyways, aggregated by big media outlets, amplified on social media by liberals eager to demonstrate the right-wingers have gone off the deep end. And that wasn't the end of the mess. Also based on insufficient evidence, some conservatives soon basically jumped on the conclusion that the doctor was a liar who made the whole thing up. That, too, was not the truth. One, local news outlet hyped the doctor's quotes, didn't provide context. What did I say? It's that and COVID cases are bouncing people out. And what they did was they blew up we knew there was a bunch of COVID cases. So what's the tipping point? We got 10 beds, 8 from COVID. We know it's spreading like wildfire. 2 beds with ivermectin assholes. Ivermectin is not contagious. Therefore, these 2 assholes are responsible for anybody who didn't get those 2 beds. That's the conflation I'm talking about. And again, okay. That's my judgment before even gathering what this is, knowing what I know about media. Local news, okay. Ivermectin was traditionally used for antiparasitic in humans. It was grown in popularity as COVID-19 treatment this year, in part because the right-wing media outlets promoted that purpose. The government health authorities have warned that taking ivermectin caused severe harm, explosive diarrhea, for one. The controversy over the Oklahoma story began with an article published last Wednesday by KFOR. That article quoted just one person, Dr. Jason Aaliyah, an emergency room physician who works with different hospitals in southern and eastern Oklahoma. The article strongly suggested that he had claimed that the use of ivermectin was a primary cause, maybe the single primary cause of hospital congestion in Oklahoma. Other than ivermectin use, the story did not cite a single additional reason why the hospitals could be crowded. Well, the obvious reason is because they've got a shit ton of COVID there, and people know this. And then on top of that, they got 2 more beds that might be for more COVID people or a bus accident or whatever the fuck, and some asshole is taking ivermectin. But there's no evidence, even the additional interview footage KFR released after the controversy erupted, that McClay himself pinned so much blame on the ivermectin use. He didn't. Okay. It's still hard to figure out exactly what happened in the interview. It edited out the reporter's question, showing us only the doctor's answers. But McClay seemed to be saying that ivermectin use was one factor contributing to the hospital backlog, not single-handedly or even primarily causing the backlog. Even if McClay did claim that ivermectin was the main factor, that would not be sufficient evidence that it was true. The article failed to quote anybody else who could have provided context. By contrast, an article published the same day quoted multiple people focused on COVID-19 itself as the cause of hospital congestion. That's the fucking point. We know there's a rush of Delta. We know they're overwhelming hospitals. And on top of that, we're running out of beds, and then we get 2-3 people who come in because they've been sucking back horse paste and shitting themselves bloody in their pickup truck. They're taking the ICU bed. That's on top of the COVID illness already. That's this is so fucking obvious. Yes, if you're in a bed because of and you took ivermectin, and someone comes in with a fucking gunshot wound or heart palpitations or something like that, and you're in that bed, and we already know COVID is in a rush, you are the additional reason why there aren't beds. You are the reason why that second, third, fourth bed, the final ones that are available, are gone. It's horse paste. That's the picture. Look at it. Hold on. I'll show you this shit in a second. By contrast, article published by Oklahoma quoted multiple people focused on COVID-19. There it is. Also quoted in the Tells the World article. There, too, he told a story about being unable for hours to find space in big city hospitals for a gunshot victim he was trying. But this article did not attribute the scarcity of appropriate beds to ivermectin. In fact, the article did not mention ivermectin at all. Aggregators didn't verify. Liberals' tweeters jumped. Some conservative tweeters also jumped to conclusions. Issued a statement he hadn't worked there in 2 months. The hospital hadn't seen any patients, complications, ivermectin. Was in some corners of the right, the statement was taken as a definitive evidence that the doctor was a liar. Some of McClea's critics even left terrible reviews for him on medical websites. But again, it was not clear he had actually said anything untrue, let alone that he actually deliberately lied. Another hospital where he works said in a statement, "What we can confirm is that we have seen a handful of ivermectin patients in our emergency rooms. And while our hospitals are not filled with people who have taken ivermectin, such patients are adding to the congestion already caused by COVID-19 and other emergencies. If you are in the hospital because you took ivermectin meant for horses, you are the reason someone can't get a bed. Fuck you. End of story." That's why her article is still up. That's why the tweets aren't being taken down. That's right. Send them to a veterinarian.
Of followers, yet still it's up there. And probably the reason that she's not taking it down, because she knows she can mislead and push unhinged claims without any reprimand from most of her peers and from the powers that be inside her own network.
The powers that be inside her own network? Oh, wait, you mean like at Fox, where everyone has to have proof of vaccination or they can't enter the building, but they every night do shows that are anti-vaccine passport? Like that kind of powers that be inside an organization?
Pushed Russia collusion harder than Rachel Maddow. She's the Adam Schiff.
She was right about it.
Cable news host. And what happened after that was all.
Oh, so she has integrity and can read.
Bunked. She didn't apologize, and NBC just awarded Rachel with a boatload of cash and a new contract because.
Somebody's jealous. Look at the picture they're going to cut to.
It's about click.
Look at the picture. Fuck you, dude. Cha-ching. Good for you, Rachel. I remember filling in on Air America when Al Franken had left to go run for office and couldn't be on the radio anymore. And I did American Afternoons or whatever their midday story was. And she was on right after me for 3 hours. And she would be there in the morning. She would do 2 hours of prep for every hour she was on the air. It was amazing. And I could, and quite frankly, she bogarted the copy machine a lot. I was trying to print some stuff and make some copies, and she was using the whole goddamn floor. You know that picture they always show of Rachel Maddow on like the ads on MSNBC, where she's got paper laid out in like a semicircle around her, like she's she's looking for the Zodiac killer. That's how she really works. That's how she does it. That's not fabricated at all. That's how she actually lays out her, for her own brain to kind of process what she's doing. She's a genius, and she's taller than me, and I still beat her at basketball. Just saying. I also once gave her advice on how to deal with media attacks on her show, because I'm that kind of a guy.
In ratings, not facts and honesty. And the fact that Twitter is allowing her tweet to stay up, it's clearly misinformation, shows you.
It's not, but keep looking to the side.
Absolute bias by that social media engine, but we already kind of knew that already, right?
Fox News, what does Joe Concha contribute about? Just kind of catch-all, Joe? Just kind of rambly? Because I thought maybe, I don't know your work. It seems fabulous, but I don't know why I would know anything about what he contributes, but apparently his strategic mind, I thought initially, he was brought on as somebody like a former defense contractor or one of these folks that would talk about military stuff. But then we now know that after he expressed what his 3-part plan for solving the Afghanistan evacuation issues would have just gotten tens of thousands of people killed and bungled it beyond measure. So it's no surprise that his critique of this is equally as stupid. By the way, let's see. Let's see. Should we just look up Oklahoma horse paste? Here you go, Joe. Debunk this, motherfucker. Do not take medicine for animals. Oklahoma stores sold out of horse deworming drug despite FDA warning about consumption. This is Oklahoma News 4. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is warning people not to take horse deworming medication to treat COVID-19. Turns out the medicine ivermectin is flying off the store shelves in Oklahoma despite the warning. Once the damage is done in these situations, you're not going back, Dr. Mary Clark with the Oklahoma State Medical Association said. It's damage that could lead to long-term health problems. I mean, I don't even know why this article is still up. The FDA said, please, this is not something that is recommended, said Dr. Clark. And the manufacturer of the actual medicine said, we have no evidence of effectiveness. Clark said the drug, which has not been studied in humans, treats or prevents parasites in animals. However, Clark said there are 2 versions of ivermectin. There's a human grade, but that's for parasite infections, for scabies, you crusty college dorm bastard. 20 years ago was the last time I've used ivermectin on a human. KFOR contacted 12 Tractor Supply stores around Oklahoma, and they all said ivermectin was sold out. Ivermectin is gone within hours of shipment. I mean, we even have "please don't eat" signs up. Last place I worked at had a sign over the urinal that said, "Do not eat the big white mint." We haven't received a shipment in 2 weeks, said a supply store. I think it's because people are consuming it. There's too much potential for error if a person goes and takes veterinary product intended for large animals. And that's by the way, it's apple flavored for horses. You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Stop it. Why don't you tell us how you really feel? Shit. Hold on. That's beautiful. But get up here, will you? Hold on. Here we go. You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Stop it. Joe Rogan has a strange desire to run the Kentucky Derby. I think he wants to go to a rodeo and get ridden. I think it's more what it's. She's making money and you're not. No one is surprised. You're not a horse. You're not a cow. Stop it. Oklahomans using livestock dewormer to prevent COVID-19. There's not, by the way they're trying to debunk this story that's why the hospitals are clogged up. Never mind the fact that they can't even try to debunk the fact that Oklahomans are sucking back apple-flavored horse paste instead of getting vaccinated because they trust veterinarians. They don't trust doctors. Hold on. Avermectin MAGA diarrhea. Let's see if this. Well, there you go. Daily Mail. This is in Oklahoma, but it'll do. There you go. COVID patient is hospitalized after overdosing on unproven drugs amid warnings about self-treatment with online coronavirus cures. A COVID patient attempted to self-treat with an array of substances. Westmead doctor said patient had nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Ivermectin is not authorized as a COVID treatment in Australia. WHO cautions against COVID use, but it is used as a treatment in some countries for scabies. If you're disgusting, if you've got a pie plate sized. There were people on let's see, there's Twitter. Let's get this. There you go. Demand surges for deworming drug for COVID, despite scant evidence it works. That's what they're doing. And by the way, this is what Alex Jones took as well. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning. No, which is not. Ivermectin didn't win a Nobel Prize. The key ingredient in it that's used for other stuff. There's also, and maybe this is, I don't know if anybody's seen this. How about Avermectins? There you go. Avermectins are a group of drugs that occur naturally as a product of fermenting Streptomyces avermectilis and acetomycetes and actinomycetes. I'm gonna need a week. Isolated from the soil. This stuff, the fermenting of this thing was the process. All the vermectin stuff. It's used as a pesticide for the treatment of pests and parasitic worms. These people are eating pesticides. The isolation and fermenting of it was what won the Nobel Prize. Avermectin derivatives. Pharmacokinetics, therapeutic and toxic dosage mechanism of action, and their biological effects. Avermectins are a group of drugs that occurs naturally as a product of fermenting Streptomyces avermectilis and acetomycetes isolated from the soil. 8 different structures, including ivermectin, abamectin, mamma mia, doramectin, which is, an exploramectin that you can take, a prinomectin or a prinomectin, moxidectin, which, is a lot. It's got more gumption than the other dectins, and selamectin. Were isolated and divided into 4 major components: A1A, A2A, B1A, B2A, and 4 minor components: A1B, A2B, B1B, and B2B. Avermectins are generally used as a pesticide for the treatment of pests and parasitic worms as a result of their anthelmintic and insecticidal properties. Additionally, they possess anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, antiviral, antifungal, and also used for treatment of several metabolic disorders. Avermectin generally works for preventing the transmission of electrical impulse in the muscle and nerves of invertebrates by amplifying the glutamate effects of the invertebrate-specific gated chloride channel. Avermectin has unwanted effects or reactions, especially when administered indiscriminately, which include respiratory failure, hypotension, and coma. The current review examines the mechanism of actions, biosynthesis, safety, pharmacokinetics, biological toxicity, and activities. Introduction, history, structural chemical properties, Avermectin biosynthesis, Avermectin derivative formulation, therapeutic, myelodexin, how they're all used. There's if you want to make some, if you've got some stuff, the dosing. Commonly used therapy in recent times has been an oral, parenteral, topical, or spot topical, as in veterinary flea repellent drops. Basically, these people are like gnawing on cat collars. They show activity against a broad range of nematodes and arthropod parasites in domestic animals at doses of 300 or less than 200. The humans get 30 or 40, by the way. That's how it breaks it all up. Let's see, human uses of ivermectin. The origin of ivermectin use in treatment of human diseases started in 1985 in an effort by the United Nations to tackle the challenges posed by tropical diseases, which have been endemic in various areas of Africa. Some of those diseases treated with ivermectin, including onchocerciasis, caused by filarial nematode. Who doesn't have that? Onchocerca volvulus. Presently, ivermectin is used to treat strongyloidiasis, scabies, paradoculosis, anathematosis, myasthenia, and a bunch of other things. In addition, other studies have shown that ivermectin can be used to reduce the prevalence of spread of other infectious diseases linked to the hemolytic parasites transmitted through soil, such as strongyloidiasis, ascariasis, trichuriasis, and enteruriasis hookworm. Trichuriasis and bicurious, it can cure bicuriousness in people. Or tricuriousness, which is if you just feel like you're just curious about trying anything. Which I don't recommend, especially when people have tropical diseases. Tough actin, tenactin, right? Topical administration of ivermectin to children also reduced the prevalence of head lice and scabies. Moreover, ivermectin has been shown to be effective in the treatment of rosacea, a human skin disease characterized by transient pustules and facial erythema, in order to enhance this because there's stuff living in it. It's been administered with other drugs, for example, it's combined with doxycycline to inhibit onchocerciasis transmission in humans. Other studies show it's combined with doxycycline has been shown to improve efficacy for ivermectin in suppressing microphiloderma, which has been shown to reduce symbiotic endobacteria for filariae, Molbachia spp, that is important for the reproduction and survival of mature female worms. Moreover, another study studied the daily administration. Where did it go? Another study stated the daily administration of ivermectin antibiotic combination for 6 weeks is more effective in reducing the microphiloderma levels in infectious patients than with ivermectin alone. The antiparasitic activity of ivermectin in the treatment of psoriasis. Okay, this is all like skin diseases. Efficacy against plant parasitic nematodes. Antibacterial action. And dectitodes for malaria, anti-cancer. So there you go. Another non-prescription discovery for ivermectin is its anti-cancer drugs. The ability of ivermectin to stimulate the intracellular influx of chloride ion in cells from leukemia patient and the induction of oxidative stress leading to the death of the leukemia cells without any effect on normal cells. Anti-cancer effect of ivermectin against leukemia is also tested in mice using 3 different models, all of which is associated with a self-active signaling pathway. The pathway, let's see if they have a dosage. Potency of ivermectin as an anti-cancer is a glioma xenograft is also observed by inhibiting dead Vox RNA helicase DDX23, which I'm sure all these people would be fine with being injected with. This is the type of helicase is linked to MIR21 processing of microRNA associated with glioma. This shows that the ivermectin can play a dual role in the preventing of tumor growth and metastasis. Thank you. Ivermectin can also inhibit the depolymerization of microtubules, preventing mitosis in tumor cells, as well as increasing metabolic effect of IVM, anti-alcohol therapies, anti-humor effects on Avermectins. I'm not going to take that because I don't want to lose my sense of humor. Antiviral effects. There's the role of IVM in inhibiting RNA helicase has led to research potential of AVM in the treatment of viral-related diseases. IVM is reported to inhibit the replication of most flavivirus through blocking viral helicase. Some of the diseases caused by virus include dengue, yellow fever, tick-borne encephalitis, and West Nile virus. This led to the submission of a patent application for IVM as off-label for antiviral therapy in humans. A study showed that consistent passaging of IVM for 6 months did not induce resistance to yellow fever virus, suggesting that the helicase domain may not be able to undergo mutation. In addition, the report revealed that IVM had no activity against other types of virus, though it inhibits replication of HIV-1 and dengue virus at high concentrations of IVM in an in vitro experiment. So if you don't mind it killing you first, nuclear import of viral proteins is critical to the life cycle of many viruses, including many RNA viruses that replicate exclusively to the cytoplasm, such as DANV. Okay, so this is where they get all this shit from, by the way. Here it is, ivermectin and COVID. With the global pandemic caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, there's an urgency for science to discover a potential drug to be investigated for the treatment of COVID-19. Cali et al. Earlier reported potential of IVM to inhibit the replication of SARS-CoV-2 in an in vitro experiment, much like the dengue stuff, but at high doses, didn't work. Once you lower it, such findings were obtained by incubating 219 of IVM with Vero H-SLAM cells infected with it. Extrapolating this dose onto human models shows that this dose well exceeds the tolerable dose for humans approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. However, Guzzo et al. Showed that administration of 120 milligrams of IVM to healthy humans was safe and well tolerated by volunteers. Didn't help with the disease, though. So you take it, doesn't change the outcome of your disease. The results showed peak plasma concentrations at 250, which is just a bit lower than the effective concentration of IVM that inhibits replication of SARS-CoV-2. So basically, you would have to take more than your body could take, and it would kill you before it killed COVID. Yes, yes, I'm saying Alex Jones is wrong. Pharmacokinetics, clinical trials of Avermectins, toxicity and side effects, neurotoxicology of ivermectin. The major toxic effects of IVM observed in animal studies such as rats: ataxia, sluggishness, ptosis, while in dogs, hypersalivation, ataxia, blindness, coma, respiratory compromise, tremors, mydriasis, anorexia, and death. Jesus. It's also noted that young rats are sensitive to IVM as the high concentrations are found in the brain due to tender BBB and lack of P-glycoprotein. Most dogs sensitive. Okay, dogs. What about people? Mice strain. I don't know that they've done any. With or without studies conducted, far showing the Avermectins of PGP conclude the fact of Avermectins IVM use an IVM labeled with fluorescent compound. They found that the efflux of the other drugs is reduced by this substrate binds of PB. Oh, we got a kitten. We have a new little buddy. I was just telling everybody not to take ivermectin because it's for animals. Oh, is he handleable?
Oh, yes. He's got a little bit of a dirty butt, and he's super skinny.
Hi, buddy.
So we gotta weigh him.
Hi, buddy.
He's
we got it.
Old, but he's only 2 pounds.
Hi, buddy.
So
look at this little guy. Look at this little fella. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Look at this little one. You're such a good little guy. Hello. He's going to be visiting with us for a little while he gains some weight.
Yeah, that's how skinny he is.
Yeah, he's a little skinny guy. He needs to hold on to the. Oh, he's purring already. Look at this little guy. He's purring like a little baby. Look at this little buddy. Hi, buddy. Hello. Yeah.
A lot of noises and things, huh?
Yeah. There's a lot going on here. That's right.
Too. He hasn't had dinner yet. So.
He hasn't eaten? Hello.
We just walked the door.
There you go, buddy. Hi. Do you want to get down? Hello.
Let's go to your room.
Yeah.
Put your bed.
Hi. Look at this little friendly fella. Hi, little friendly little guy.
Chip.
What's his name?
Chip.
Chip. Chocolate chip?
Mint chip.
He's mint chip? I think he's chocolate chip.
I know.
Because he's white with chocolate chips. Hello.
It'll be chip.
Hi, buddy. Yeah. What a sweetie. He's a little pervert. He's purring. That sounds weird. Look at this. Hi.
He's got his black nose.
I know, he's super cute. Yeah. He's being fostered. We're gonna foster this little fella.
Fatten him up.
Fatten him up and get him some shots.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. There you go. Let me go back to Mama real quick.
Let's go in here.
Uh-huh.
Murphy's introduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. All right, buddy.
Yeah.
There you go. Get your butt in there. Watch your tail. Watch your tail, little one. You'll get to run around. Don't worry. You just get your tail in. Don't squish it. There you go. Aw. Oh, look at the little guy. How many cats? We have 4. We're not having a 5th. You're not sticking around, Chip. We're going to make you healthy and send you someplace nice. He's super cute. Matches my hair, yeah. All right. So anyways, we were looking at what kind of an idiot you'd have to be to take ivermectin. I would guess you'd have to be kind of the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones version, which is I'll take some of this shit. It's not going to help, but I'll get political points for taking some horse dewormer so that my people think I'm doing, everything they accuse people who are getting vaccinated of doing. Thanks, Steph. Let's see. Joe Rogan. COVID. Mm-hmm. Let's see what this is. Joe's COVID. Here we go. This is his.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Well. If it isn't old horseworm Rogan. I'm glad you're well, man.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
I don't know. Do you?
They're making shit up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor.
Yeah, he took ivermectin. They didn't say you're taking horse dewormer. You're taking the same drug they use to deworm horses. It's totally different.
American company.
Mm-hmm.
They won the Nobel Prize in 2015 for use of human beings.
Yeah.
And CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Yeah. What? So
they must know that that's a lie.
Well, there's a lot of people saying it.
Right, but a lot of people can say it.
Okay.
Like the internet says it. Who cares?
Sure.
But CNN is saying it. Like,
He's lost some weight. I will say that.
Tim Acosta.
I meant like USA Today, a few other
yeah,
and they're talking about ivermectin, right?
Yeah.
So what? Because I don't know. I just saw so much news about you.
He took the same stuff that Alex Jones took as well, by the way. In case you guys missed it, let's see. Alex Jones, ivermectin. He doesn't want to be outdone by, yeah. This is what he's talking about.
Overhead shot, please. You know what this is? This is ivermectin for humans. It won a Nobel Prize as an antiviral.
Hi, dum-dum. No, it didn't. The Avermectin discovery won the Nobel Prize. Look at that, 3 milligrams. That's not going to do shit to COVID. Nothing. And the reason he feels great, both of them, is because they're taking steroids.
Is it inhalable, or these are the tablet steroids? So let me show you. I was going to do this anyways earlier.
I have never seen someone so nervous right after blowing Joe Rogan in my life. Not since, oh gosh, not. Let's see, when I'd have to go back to that weird wine party in Austin.
See this? See this, Fauci? You see this, Bill Gates?
Look how nervous he is. He knows he's taking something that scares the shit out of him.
I'm going to kill those prions, you bastard murderers. You're going to hit me with a bioweapon, you monster. You want to suppress me? You want to kill me, you son of a bitch?
Yeah, you're taking a drug out of foil that you have no idea where it came from. If you really believe they were out to murder you, they couldn't swap out a drug in a piece of foil. What are you talking about?
You goddamn demon. You think I'm easy to kill?
Well, no. Well, you don't have to be killed. You just wait long enough and your heart or your liver will do the work for them.
Roll over to your crap.
I'm going to sip it with lemon Pellegrino. Or Perrier.
No. Joe Rogan kicked your murdering ass too. You'd love to bury him too, you little monster maggot. He's in this National Geographic piece about, oh, I don't usually deal with my enemies right away. I get them later. Yeah, you creep up on with a poison injection, dressed up in a lab coat, you little Joseph Mengele, Nuremberg Code violating monster.
I mean, you don't think Mengele would have gone? It'd be so much easier if we just got these assholes to take whatever pills we tell them to. I mean, we could just put a story into paper, and these idiots would just take. They would force their doctors to give them things. Even the doctor, we can't get the hardest thing about getting, murdering all these people and lowering the population of the earth is all these doctors and their stupid Hippocratic oath, and they have to, at first do no harm, and this is very difficult. But if we get the people to bypass them and insist that these doctors give them these drugs, they will just take them. This is so much easier. I mean, honestly, like Alex Jones would say, I'm not getting in your train and being taken to a little camp where you can put me in a shower. I'll Uber to the place myself and turn the shower on alone. This is such a silly
monster.
Man.
See our little cancer proteins like that. Nobel Prize winning for humans. No.
Yeah, but not for that. And it won't do anything. All right. It's goofy. All right, here we go. So this is why they haven't taken it down. We looked at that video once before.
Joe, by the way, you can Tuesday morning quarterback after a Monday night game. Just don't try and Wednesday morning quarterback because I got nothing for you then.
Right.
That's supposed to be kind of like funny. Don't forget, Fox and Friends is a morning show, and this is the show that's on before Fox and Friends, I think. Yeah, Fox and Friends first, so they're on earlier than than Ducey and them. So what a god awful hour to be doing a show. So what, 4 a.m. New York time?
Tuesday has no feel, right? Wednesday has a feel, but Tuesday, no feel whatsoever.
And Fridays, I'm in love.
At one point 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about the fact that, according to these assholes, the Taliban terrorists it's worse than 9/11. They're going to be attacking the country or whatever. But there's always, you can always end the segment on an up note, on our golden set. Honestly, I haven't, who designed that? Who did Trump have pee on something to design that set?
Very good. The Cure. Outstanding,
Thanks,
Todd. You showed your age there. Congratulations.
That's what I do.
Good day.
Thanks, Concha.
So a Cure reference. That's what did it.